Welcome back, the Pittsburgh Sports Saviors. It is Sunday, October 12th, 4:54 p.m. Your Pittsburgh Steelers are 4-1, 2.5 game lead in the division, with the Bengals result still looming. The Cleveland Browns and the Baltimore Ravens are both 1-5. And right now, this division looks like it's the Steelers to lose, right?
Yeah, yeah. The right now with the way the Ravens and Browns have been playing, they're 1-5, and the Bengals are playing the Packers right now. May be a tough game for them. They just picked up Joe Flacco for this past week because they needed a quarterback. But it looks like right now, just how things are going, it might be the Steelers division this year for sure.
Yeah, they win 23-9. Aaron Rodgers goes 21-30, 235, 2 touchdowns. Jalen Warren, 11 carries, 52 yards. DK Metcalf, 4 catches, 95 yards, and a touchdown. As the title says, I think this was a really basic hard hat and lunch pail type of
Yeah.
game. They came out and did their work. They did what they needed to do against a team that's just not very good in the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah.
It's very good to see them win like this. Like I said, I thought this was kind of a trap game coming into it, but the Steelers did not get trapped.
Yeah, they came out. It was a Steeler game for sure. Didn't have the turnovers like they did the past couple games, but they continued on with the sacks and played very well and did what they needed to do to get a victory and hold the Browns to under 10 points to single digits. So it was a very good game by the Steelers all around. I think it was pretty decent game for the Steelers to win.
Yeah, I mean, not too much to complain about. I don't think. Maybe we'll figure out something along the lines. But
Yeah.
the idea is you got to win these games if you want to go to the playoffs, and that they won it. They won it pretty easily.
Yeah.
I don't know where you want to go first, but I'll let you decide as I deal with something real quick.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I'll go through the team stats real quick just to we can just get that over the way real quick. So again, final score: Steelers beat the Browns 23-9. Total yards: the Steelers had 335 total yards to the Browns 248 total yards. Pass yards: the Steelers had 235 pass yards to the Browns 183. Rush yards: Steelers had 100 yards, which now looks like 3 games straight now of at least 100 yards on the ground rushing for the Steelers. Browns had 65 yards per play. The Steelers almost doubled the Browns. The Steelers had 5.8 and the Browns had 3.3. First downs were about the same. Browns had 20, Steelers had 19. Third down efficiency: the Browns were 6 for 17 to the Steelers 5 for 13. Fourth down efficiency: the Browns were 2 for 4 and the Steelers did not go for it, which leading up to it at one point, the Browns were 8 for 8 going into fourth
Yeah.
down, and they converted 2 on us, and then they end up missing 2 towards the end of that game. Total plays: the Browns had 75 total plays to the Steelers 58. The Browns did not have any sacks on us, but the Steelers did sack Gabriel 6 times. The Browns had 4 punts. Steelers punted twice. This is something we could probably talk about. Penalty yards: the Browns were 6 for 44 to the Steelers 10 for 59. Coming into the game, the Steelers had the lowest
48 coming in.
yards and penalties per game, and they had 10 penalties for 59 yards. There were no turnovers by any team, and the time possession, which I think this is the first time this season, which I might have to go back and look, but the time possession, the Browns were 28 minutes and 8 seconds, the Steelers 31 and 52. So I think this was the first time they actually led in time possession.
Yeah,
Take a
that's been
look.
something we've been talking about.
But it was a decent game. Steelers pretty much led almost in all statistical categories here, and they did very well. And that's your team stats for the game today.
Yeah, the biggest thing for me is the Browns just have no explosiveness on offense. I mean, 52 passing attempts for only 183 yards. It's 3.2 yards per pass attempt. It's just not how you're going to win in the NFL. It's pretty bad overall, and they didn't add much in the way of rushing either. So I think they're in trouble for the rest of the season. Their defense played solid for a while, and then Steelers were able to work it through a little bit as the game went on. Yeah, it's a weird game to talk about. I don't know. It was just there. It was just a good win. I guess we can go to Tomlin, see what Tomlin had to say about the game. That might help us get some something going here.
Yeah.
Man, it's great to win in the North. Good start for us in divisional play. I appreciate how the guys came off the bye. We didn't warm up to it. We had certain agendas that we thought were critical to making this game unfold the way we desired for it to unfold. We thought they played behind their runner. We wanted to do a good job of minimizing him, and I think we did that. When you do that, then you're in favorable one-dimensional passing circumstances for your defense, and I think that was reflected in the pressure that we were able to put on the quarterback.
Hitting on two of those things there. Quinshon Judkins, 12 carries, 36 yards. That's 3 yards a carry. As a team, they had 17 carries for 65 yards, 3.8 per carry. And then the Steelers get those 6 sacks you mentioned earlier for negative 38 yards.
Yeah.
So if that was the goal, they definitely hit that mark in this game, right?
Yeah.
On the other side of the ball, we were able to stay on schedule and minimize those one-dimensional moments to minimize Myles Garrett's impact on the game. And so, like some of those agendas, man, that we had, we were able to get accomplished, and I think that's why we engineered victory. One area where we certainly fell short is the penalty component. We scout crews just like we scout teams. We know this crew throws a lot of penalties, and we dropped the ball in terms of our preparedness there. I'll accept responsibility for that. We got to be better. You can't beat anybody when you're beating yourself.
He addressed it for you, Lee. I'm sure you're happy. He gets it head on. He does blame the ref and the crew, it seems like, a little bit. It says that these guys are a little bit aggressive there. But, yeah, he also mentioned Myles Garrett not doing much. Only 1 tackle in the game, I think. No sacks, obviously. No big plays on his part. But what are you thinking? What do you want to address which part?
Yeah, I mean, the Steelers have been kind of, doing well. The penalties has been a big thing that I've been talking about the past, couple seasons we've been doing this. And they came into this game, again, like I said earlier, with the lowest amount of penalties and the lowest amount of penalty yards. And then they had one of their worst games that they've had with penalties so far with 10 penalties for 59 yards. There were a couple of those where he's, talking about with the refs saying some of the stuff wasn't where it's supposed to be. I mean, we could see where some of the players are actually pointing at the refs to kind of say like, hey, are we in position? And the refs are giving it a nod and then they're throwing the flag as soon as it happens. So it's like, I don't know if there's miscommunication there. I don't know what's going on with that. So maybe that's something the NFL needs to address, moving forward with things like that. But there were there was a hit that shouldn't have had with Elliott with one of the runners coming across the middle with the Browns and couple of holding and things like that. So, there's just some things they need to clean up. I'm glad he took responsibility for that. Garrett, we kept him pretty much shut down. Like you said, 1 tackle throughout the game.
2 tackles. I missed 1.
2 tackles. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, his name really wasn't called most of the game, so,
no hurries, no hits, nothing like that.
Yeah, he didn't have the game that we're used to seeing him with, and so I think that the offensive line did a good job containing him from getting down to Aaron Rodgers or things like that to making any big plays, and they did well. They did what they needed to do against him and held him, and made the other players try to play and beat us.
Yep, defensively, a lot of sacks. I'm sure Tomlin might get into this, but let's see what else he gets to say in his intro.
And I just felt like at times we did that today. And so we got to own that. We got a short week. We're chasing another AFC North pelt here in a short number of days. And so we respect the process. We got to work fast here in preparation for Thursday night. Got some bumps and bruises associated with play. The only one that's worth mentioning of any significance is Miles Killebrew. He's got a significant knee injury, and I'll have more updates for you, I'm sure, in the not too distant future about the details of that. Questions?
Yeah, I mean, that could be a big one. I think he's obviously a big contributor on special teams, but with the new kickoff stuff and everything, I wonder how much how much value he has now compared to before. But yeah, he still plays a big role. Obviously, is he captain? I think he's been a captain before.
I think so.
Yeah. But yeah, that's the only one that he's talking about. That's good to hear that not too many more injuries, because Joey Porter Jr. was on and off the field a little bit. Maybe that was cramping or just dehydration from not getting in the field before now.
Yeah, it's a possibility. I mean, there were, we saw a couple guys go down here and there, but they were able to come back. And I'm glad that it wasn't nothing too significant. I mean, hoping for a speedy recovery for Killebrew, because he is the one big guy on the special teams that, out there makes plays. I think in the past 2 seasons, he even made the Pro Bowl with some of the plays he's made on the special team side. So hopefully nothing too serious with him, and he comes back quick. But I was glad to see that, Joey Porter Jr. and Alex Highsmith were back out there to be able to play in this game. Big time players that we normally need on the defense, and they were able to do a good rotation with bringing some of the other guys in. Nick Herbig had a couple sacks. Jalen Ramsey had a couple sacks. And so wasn't too much craziness with the injuries. So they looked pretty good, and they were able to rotate everybody in, and everything seemed to be pretty well. So hopefully nothing crazy with Killebrew. Just hoping that anybody else that's, may have an injury or a little bit of a bumper bruise that's going on into the next game or to the next 2 weeks. Hopefully, speedy recovery for them, and we get them back as well.
Yeah, I agree with you there. What happened to Penn State? We can get into that at a different time, Lee, but let's listen to Tom a little more. This coach is still around at least.
Aside from those kind of couple leaky moments in Ireland, what's been the difference with your defense the last 2 weeks with the pressure and everything?
I just think we're getting a full complement of our weapons back. In Ireland, man, we got 25 back. This week we got 56 back, 24 back. Everybody goes through injuries. I'm not seeking comfort in the lack of availability, but if you're asking me why is it starting to look the way that we desire, we got a full complement of talent. And when we put this band together, we feel like we can do things like you saw today.
On Tuesday, Mike, you mentioned how good Dylan Gabriel is at processing. I think you called it his superpower. What did you guys do to be kryptonite to that?
We did a nice job with our pre-snap looks, but I think that's aided again by having, our secondary intact. And some of the things that we developed in Latrobe, man, you're able to execute when you got a full complement of guys. I thought they did a nice job with their pre-snap disguise. They didn't allow him to digest information prior to getting the ball in his hands, and that's the first component of slowing down the processing.
Mike, what led to?
Yeah, what were your thoughts on Gabriel today? I don't think I asked you, did I?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah,
I mean, he looked a little composed back there. He was he got the ball out. He was, there's something.
52 passes is crazy.
Yeah, a lot of
58
passes.
dropbacks with the 6 sacks.
Yeah, that's a lot. Especially you're asking a lot from your rookie to do that.
Yeah.
I will say, there's something going on with the middle field of our defense. I mean, it just seems like every game there's somebody open in the middle of the field, and he was able. The majority of the passes that he completed were in the middle of the field.
Yeah, a lot late though. Whenever the game was out of reach, I think, and they were just letting them drive a little bit. But yeah, that was.
I mean, he looked decent out there. I mean, he didn't look as nervous as some rookies do. When they're out there playing, he looked like he had a little bit of, whatever nerves brushed off from his game probably in London against the Vikings. I do think that the Steelers defense is a little bit better than the Vikings. And I mean, he got sacked a lot. And, I think that he was a little frustrated with just the rush and things like that. And wasn't able to complete as many passes as he'd like to and things like that. And there was a lot of, turnovers on downs and punts for them. So he looked decent, but, he was definitely looked like he was frustrated with just how he was playing out there today.
Yeah, I don't think he showed anything where I'd say, oh, he's the long-term answer, but he was like poised enough, I guess you could say, and he didn't look like the moment was too big. It just might be that his talent's not big enough, and that might be the end for him. I think he'll definitely get more starts down the stretch here, but I wonder if the Shador shadow is going to come into
Yeah.
play at some point, and they're going to let Shador get a start.
Yeah.
Personally, for me, I think you stick with Gabriel. He's the guy you picked ahead of him in third
Mhm.
round.
Mhm.
So you can't give up on a guy after 2 starts, especially when one of them's against a defense that has a great pass rush and great guys in the secondary. So
For sure.
good on him. But let's see what else we got from Tomlin.
Yep.
Some of the chunk plays in the passing game, and how impactful was that for you guys offensively?
I thought we ran the ball effectively. I think when you run the ball effectively, it tees up some of the action, the play action, and most of our chunks were born out of run action, and so it's really simple as that.
This run game has had now 2 100-yard rushing games. Just how much consistency have you seen them build over these last stretch here?
It's the overall trajectory of it has been what we desired. I've been talking about that, and we certainly start to see the result of that. But we got to keep rolling.
Yeah, once again, good balance on offense and defense. Not a bunch of yardage, but still enough to get the job done. Over 100 rushing, over 200 passing. Just balanced on offense. That's what we want to see, right?
Yeah, I mean, it just seems like these guys are getting ready to start. They're starting to mesh and get things moving. I think that they're starting to understand and come together and be able to play like a team. I think they had to just knock the rust off from preseason and not being able to be out there to play together in the preseason. And now that they're coming back from injury and having enough games, together, I think that they've kind of got a little bit of a groove and kind of know what they want to do. They're able to kind of move the ball a little bit downfield. They're able to run it a little bit more. I think they have a little bit of an identity of, how they want to play offensively with this team. So I think that, they're slowly figuring it out. Just like I think Aaron Rodgers had said, one of the commenters said during the game that they're still trying to figure things out. And I think that's what's going on there.
Yeah.
They're working towards it. They're getting things moving. They're getting into their own little groove. And I think that, as these games continue on, that they're just going to continue to get better, as the season progresses.
Mm-hmm. Got the tight ends involved a little bit more than we had seen. Connor Hayward ends up with a touchdown. Washington had some good plays down there. Fryermuth got a catch. That's something we talked about going into the game where we really haven't seen the tight ends. None of them had explosive games today, but they all seem to have some touches. Johnny Smith had a couple good plays, end around at one point, I think, if I'm remembering right. So, yeah, they got those guys involved too, right?
Yeah, that was something we talked about in the last episode. We haven't seen the tight ends too much, and here are all 4 of them. At least made one catch in the game, and made some plays and things like that. So it was good to see that these guys were incorporated into the offense. With Calvin Austin going down, you're going to need another target. Things like that. We haven't seen much of Roman Wilson or Skoranek or things like that, other players like that. But I'm glad that they were able to incorporate the tight ends, into the playbook, into the play today, because we haven't seen them as much. So hopefully, moving forward, they continue with that. So it was good to see those guys out there make some plays.
Yeah. So I think you should have a couple more questions here. Let's hear what he has to say.
You see that the fact that Aaron Rodgers is a pretty grizzled vet, but do you think he's getting more comfortable with him molding the offense?
I certainly think that's a reasonable expectation with more exposure, whether you're young or old, experienced or inexperienced, particularly this collective journey that we're on. The more that you get an opportunity to play, certainly there's more comfort there.
Did you have Ramsey on any kind of pitch count? We're just being cautious with him, or just circumstantial when he came out?
We did, but we certainly wanted to make sure that he could impact the game. I cannot say enough about Jalen Ramsey, guys. This guy plays outside corner. He plays nickel. He plays free safety. He is exactly what we hoped he would be. And certainly he was significant today.
Both guys mentioned there have been exactly what they could hope to be. Ramsey's been great on defense. Rodgers has been great on offense. I mean, like we weren't going to get vintage Rodgers. No one ever thought that, but what we've gotten has been great. Got us to 4-1. Offense seems to be moving good enough, especially against teams like the Browns. That I think I don't know how the season's going to go for them, but I think the Browns have a good defense. But yeah, Ramsey and Rodgers, both big name guys coming in. DK Metcalf, you can throw in there too. 4 catches for 95 today and a touchdown. Everyone's been as advertised, and maybe even better than advertised, right?
Yeah, for sure. I agree with what Tom was saying. I think that he's a lot more comfortable now. He knows what's going on. He is a vet, so he's able to it's probably, it's a new system, so it's going to take some time. But I think he's a lot more comfortable now. You could see him. I think he's pointing at Mike Tomlin at some of the plays during the game. You see him looking over to the sideline,
Having fun, yeah.
things like that. Yeah. So I think that they have a good relationship. He's comfortable now with the team. I think that these guys are coming out and being the guys that we thought that they were going to be. Aaron Rodgers had a very decent game today, especially Jalen Ramsey, 2 sacks. I mean, he's been making plays every game so far, So, we've seen a lot of him out there. And I think that, these were great acquisitions that they got during the offseason. And I think they've definitely continued to help improve this this team, on both sides of the, field. So, I think they're doing what they need to do. I think they're just only going to improve from here. And I think that things are going to, just get a lot better with this team.
Yeah, winning helps everything too. Everyone likes winning and has fun doing that. So the way they're playing definitely helping too.
Your thoughts on the performance of Darnell Washington today?
We've been very transparent about Darnell's role. We play 4-3 teams, man. We need a guy that looks like those 4-3 ends. It's a major component of our run game. Can't say enough about his efforts and also Spencer Anderson. Their weight classes in combat sports for a reason. They got big people out in that C and D gap area, and so do we when we deploy those 2 guys, and it really gives us a fighting chance.
Caleb Johnson saw a lot more playing time today. Can you talk about his play, more especially a young guy coming back after the mistake he made?
I don't want to get into all of that, man. He's a young guy. He's getting better. He's earning opportunities. There's a reasonable expectation for him to get better.
Anyone else? Mike, you mentioned Ramsey, but what kind of level is Herbig playing at for you right now?
He's playing at a pretty high level. That's why I introduced 12 defenders today.
Anyone? All right.
Thanks.
Okay, yeah, that's the one guy we hadn't mentioned yet. Nick Herbig ended up with 2 sacks as well. Yeah, obviously we were at home, we didn't hear, but apparently there was 12 starters on defense mentioned. Is what he was getting at there. But yeah, overall good win. I can go through the scoring drives and everything, the drive-by-drive breakdown here. Steelers opened up 8 plays, 46 yards with a Boswell field goal. Next possession for the Browns was a punt on 6 plays, 8 yards. Steelers come back, 6 plays, 27 yards, and a punt. Then we have the Browns as the first quarter comes to a close, going 6 plays, 21 yards. Steelers are 3-0 after the first. Next drive, which started in the first but ends in the second for the Steelers, another field goal, 11 plays, 39 yards. So 6-0 there. Punt by the Browns on 3 plays, no yards. Steelers come back, go 10 plays, 49 yards to make it 9-0. The Browns finally get something going. It takes 16 plays, but they go 72 yards, make it 9-3 at half. What are you thinking at half? You worried at all, or are you seeing the way it's going and pretty much feeling like this is going to be a Steeler win?
I feel like it was going to be a Steeler win, but at the way it was going, I just thought it was just going to be a field goal game at this point because that's just all it seemed like it was going to be. I thought maybe the Steelers might kick another 3 in the second half, and it and maybe the Browns might get 1 or 2 more just by the way it was going, by the defenses for sure.
But the Steelers offense did find their way a little bit in that third quarter. Browns come out, go 3 plays, 5 yards, punt. Steelers come back with a 10-play, 79-yard drive to make it 16-3. That ended with a TD pass, 12 yards to Connor Hayward for the first touchdown of the game. Make it Browns come back 9 plays, 34 yards to make it 16-6 on a field goal. But the Steelers once again answer 7 plays, 73 yards. That's a 23-6 lead, and that was the 25-yard pass to DK Metcalf there. Browns do come back, go 18 plays, 54 yards, but they had to settle for a field goal again. Makes it 23-9, and that's how it ends. A couple punts, couple turnover on downs. Steelers did miss a field goal where Boswell slips. Hopefully he's healthy and everything. It didn't look like he got injured. It looked like a normal little slip up that you don't have to worry about. But yeah, 23-9 final score. Steelers were able to get some drives going. Like we talked about, the Browns just 18-play drive to get 54 yards. They just had no explosiveness. So I don't know how much you can take away from the Steelers defense this game, but offensively, I think you can take some stuff away. Getting 23 points. There's a lot of games last year where this final score is maybe 13-6 or 13-9 or something like that. They actually were able to score. We're able to have some good drives. And you got to give credit to everyone on offense. Arthur Smith is someone we don't give too much praise to, but you have to give him some credit for today, especially in that second half, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the Steelers were able to move the ball, into the red zone and get a couple touchdowns there at the second half of the game. And, the defense stepped up and held them to single digits, only 9 points in the game. So they did what they needed to do. No turnovers, but, you still get the win, and a win's a win at the end of the day, and you got to give some credit to Arthur Smith. I think that he's starting to expand his playbook a little bit more. I think that, we're seeing a lot more different plays than we've seen the past couple of years. And I think that the offensive line, Aaron Rodgers still getting the ball out quick, but I think this game kind of showed them being able to hold a little bit of the line, a little bit for him to be able to make some other plays, to throw the ball a little bit more down the field. I think there's some improvement. I think there's things going on, that they're still working on, but I do think that they are figuring things out. I wanted to ask you, because you were going through some of those them game, play drives that they had.
Uh-huh.
A couple of those drives, 15, 18 play drives. And what do you think about the defense? Again, they're not scoring, but being on the field that long and having long plays, long drives like that by the opposite team. What are your thoughts with the defense?
Like you said, though, this is the first game they've won the time of possession battle. So it was just it was the way the Browns were playing. And during those drives, everything was they had to work for those first downs, like 2 4th-down conversions. So overall, obviously you want to get off the field, but if they're going to dink and dunk, and there's just no fear of anything down the field, I think you just let it play out. You knew that eventually the drives were either going to fall apart, or the Steelers were going to get some kind of sack to make it work. So I wasn't too concerned with it. I think we don't know for sure if the defense is good or great, or whether it's going to be historic, as we've heard, and we're not going to find out. And then even next week, this Thursday, they got the Bengals. They're currently down 10-0 to Green Bay. And I just looked at the box score there. Joe Flacco's 3 of 6 for 15 yards to start out. We're at the 4 of 5 mark in the second quarter. So their offense does not seem to be doing well in this first half against Green Bay Packers, who just gave up 40 points to the Cowboys last week, right? So the Packers aren't they at least they haven't played like a defense that's amazing to this point. So I think we won't know answers on Thursday night either. Really, where's your head at?
Yeah, not yet. I think it's just too soon to even foresay anything about this defense. But I do think that the Steelers should be able to win this game. Again, it's another division game. The division games are a lot tougher, and there's a lot more animosity towards these teams and players, against each other. They see each other twice a year, every year. So it's gonna be a tough game for sure. But
I don't know, man. I obviously it's always the NFL, but the way these teams are playing right now, they're broken teams. The Browns in general, what they've done with their quarterback situation has been a mess. Their offense as a whole just is not good. The Bengals with Joe Burrow out, they're just a completely different team. The Ravens, Mikey Lamar back for their next game. They got a bye coming up, but right now I don't know. They're not as good as the Bills, but they're in a similar situation where the Bills were for a few years, where the rest of their division just stunk. Or if you go back to the Patriots, whenever the Bills stunk too, and the Patriots were good. It's just this division, because of the injuries everywhere. The Ravens defense played a little better today, but they just have not been good all year. I feel like even if the Steelers are not good, they're going to end up with at least 10 wins.
Yeah,
and a playoff or a division title.
Yeah,
but that's why they play the games, Lee.
That's it.
They'll be back
Can you put me on a single screen? I got something to say.
Yeah.
I first and foremost, I want to make an apology to Cameron Hayward. I think that he has been the captain of this defense and has been able to bring this defense together. So I have to owe this man an apology. He's been playing well. He was the MVP of the first quarter of this season in the schedule for the Steelers. So I think he's been stepping up as the captain. I wanted you to make some plays, and you've done what you needed to do, and you're fulfilling it. And so I appreciate that. The other thing I want to do is I gave this team 3 games. I initially said 3 weeks, but I meant 3 games. And these past 3 games, they have won, and they have shown out and been able to improve over these past 3 games. So, maybe there's something here with this team. I was getting a little concerned after that, that loss to the Seahawks, just by the way that game went. But there might be some improvement here with this team, and I'm willing to jump on board, and I think that this team is going to do well. I think they're going to do very well the rest of this season. I think there's still going to be some tough games they got to play, but I think this team is figuring things out. They're getting things going. They're improving week by week, and I think that they're going to be a very good team going down towards the end of the season and into the postseason. So we'll see what happens. I just want to apologize, Cameron Hayward. I am a fan, but I want you to know that you're getting your apology and your flowers now for what you're doing, and this team is improving. I gave them 3 games, and they've done what they needed to do. So, I'm excited to see what this team can do.
There's nothing like a double reverse jinx in week 6 of the NFL, but you pulled it off. Congratulations on doing the reverse jinx to shit on Cam Hayward, to have him be our MVP, defensive MVP throughout the season. Then say we're going to give this team 3 weeks for them to go 3-0, and now you've taken that all away, and now they're going to suck for the rest of the season. Thank you. I appreciate your help, Lee.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Have a good evening. Steelers win.
We'll see you.
23-9.